Hi, baby boy. Talking to the fishies? You and me, son, are different. We're special. We're connected to the land and the sea. I can't wait to introduce you to all the majestic creatures on our planet and show you how awesome this world can be. Yeah, you and me.
I'm gonna kill Aquaman. Even if I have to make a deal with the devil to do it.
Free me from my prison, and all my power will be yours.
The key to this prison is the royal bloodline itself.
He needs us. We're the end of the bloodline.
No, we're not.
Yeah!
Manta took Junior.
He must be stopped.
I'm coming for you. We'll destroy everything he holds dear.
You want blood? Come get it!
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. They dropped a brand new Aquaman 2 The Lost Kingdom trailer, so we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs here. Jason Momoa has also talked about this being like the last time that he will play the Aquaman character, but he will be back in future DC movies under James Gunn's DCU. Don't worry, we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. This is what Jason Momoa said about this being like the last time that he's going to play his version of the Snyderverse Justice League version of Aquaman.
Is it true this might be the last one, or could there be a third Aquaman?
I mean, things have happened before. This is kind of like the end of this
DC universe.
DCEU universe. There'll always be a place for me at DC.
They will. There will, right?
They like me.
They should like you, yeah.
You know.
And we like you.
When he says there'll always be a place for him at DC, he's talking about coming back. Most of us believe that's going to be as the Lobo character just because of everything that he said previously. I've done a couple of Lobo videos before this. He's had a couple of interviews where he's talked about playing other characters, quote unquote, like winking at the camera. There was a lot of scuttlebutt behind the scenes about him coming back as a version of Lobo, but we're not totally sure on which movie that's going to be in. That might wind up being Superman Woman of Tomorrow, like some other cosmic-based movie, but I'm not expecting it to be in Superman Legacy. That just feels like it's a little too soon. I'll talk more about that later in the video. Just getting to the actual footage, starting at the beginning of the trailer footage, he's talking to Aquababy. That's right, his name is Aquababy in the comics, although it's technically Arthur Curry Jr. When he's talking about how the two of them are special, they're both connected to the land and the sea, they show that Aquababy here can actually talk to marine life. But the way they explain things in the DCEU here is that the highborn Atlanteans can breathe on land and in water, so that's why his brother, Ocean Master, can breathe above water. But like the normal Atlanteans here that are sitting around this arena here can't. That's why some of them have to wear special suits out of water. This is a shot of Aquaman, Ocean Master, and an octopus with them. It looks like there's an octopus with them when he breaks them out of that desert prison inside the kingdom of the deserters, basically. So it just seems like this is on their way back to Atlantis. They set up the whole Black Manta plot during the movie. The idea is that he finds the black trident that belonged to Mongo, who is from the comics, ruling over Necrus, which is basically like the lost seventh kingdom of Atlantis. In the comics, it was phased into a different dimension, and like it would cross over with our dimension occasionally. But during the events of this movie, they might just say that it was buried inside the Arctic and sealed using Atlantean royal blood, because it seems like Mongo, who's played by Pilou Abhishek from Game of Thrones, he played Euron Greyjoy, so kind of appropriate that he's playing Necrus in this movie. He makes a bargain with Black Manta to give him all of his power, like the power of the Black Trident here, which is basically raising the dead back to life. This green fire also seems like it consumes everything and also turns it into other undead creatures. He says he'll give him the power to destroy Aquaman in exchange for freeing him, and in order to do that, he needs the blood of Atlantean highborns like part of the royal family, which is why he goes for Aquaman's son, Aquababy. But here's the thing, and this sort of gets back to the whole idea that this is going to be like the very final DCEU movie, unless somebody leaks the Batgirl movie, even though technically I think that was meant to be kind of in its own little universe. James Wan, the director, mostly known for his horror movies, I think they actually want to end on a more hopeful note because this is like the very final DCEU movie. And killing Aquababy during the movie, even though it did happen in the comics, just feels like it would be this movie going a little too hard, and they don't want to go out like that. So that's why during the trailer, they're making it seem like his father gets killed by Black Manta when he comes to steal Aquababy. The only other people in the movie that I would say are on the chopping block, like that could potentially be killed, would be his mother, because it says that he needs royal blood. But during the trailer, Black Manta basically says that he'll do whatever it takes to gain the power to kill, to destroy Aquaman and everything that he loves, even if it costs him, like even if there's collateral damage, which basically sets up the idea that he's going to lose control of Mongo and his army here. If you didn't see the Marvels movie, they actually kind of had a twist like that with the two Miss Marvel Bengals. Like Dar-Ben, the main villain of that movie, got control of both Bengals, but it was too much power for her. So don't feel like it's a spoiler to say because the movie's been out for a while and it was in all the trailers. Basically, she wound up trying to absorb too much power. She tried to use too much power and it destroyed her, which is kind of like somebody using the Infinity Gauntlet who wasn't powerful enough to actually wield it. It looks like something similar might wind up befalling Black Manta, like some similar type of fate where the power is too much for him. We get a bunch more footage of Mongo, if that's going to be his name in the movie. I'm just calling him that because that was his name in the comics. These seem like scenes from flashbacks to ancient Atlantis and him fighting King Atlan when Atlantis was still above water. There were a bunch of flashbacks in the previous trailers, so I think we're just going to get some more context about who he is, where his power comes from, and why it's so dangerous, and why Atlan locked him in this prison in the past. And it just seems like Black Manta is successful in getting some kind of royal blood and unlocking his power and unleashing him in this giant battle against Atlantis. That's probably what the big third act is going to wind up being. But this trailer really wants to make you think that they're going to kill the Aquababy. We're the last of the bloodline. Wait, no, we're not. There's one more. My son. Notice here when Aquaman says he's coming for him, he's probably talking about Necros and Black Manta, but it also looks like Orm is wielding the black trident behind him, like that green flame. There's also a huge battle between him and Black Manta in this place here too. So if Orm has the black trident, that means that they got it from Black Manta, so either he killed Black Manta or something happened to him for them to get it from him. But I think the idea is that Black Manta is just the villain for most of the movie, and then Mongo winds up being like the real main villain at the end of the film. There's a very quick shot of Randall Parks, Dr. Stephen Shin, who is working with Black Manta at the end of the first Aquaman movie. It seems like he's reluctantly helping him find the Lost Kingdom so that he can get that trident. They weren't totally clear on what his beef with Aquaman was, like why is he helping Black Manta if he's a villain. I think part of the idea is that the rest of the scientific world considered him crazy for believing that Atlantis exists and all these Atlanteans. There's another trailer they released with a bunch of different battles, like a couple of the different major battles in the film. I think part of the idea in the movie is that things pick up and they just show what's happened with him since his son was born, him just getting used to being a father and being the king of Atlantis. They'll show a couple minor battles at the beginning of the film with him just taking down a bunch of random thugs around the ocean, cleaning up the ocean, so to speak. Then I think the idea is that Black Manta finds the trident, attacks Atlantis, and then he realizes that he needs more help. Then he goes to free Orm from the Kingdom of the Deserters where the prison's been holding him. Because Orm understands all the lore behind Mongo, the Lost Kingdom, and everything that they need to defeat Black Manta and Mongo. Part of the idea with Ocean Master is that he was raised with the idea that he would be king. So he got all these important lessons about the history of their culture, the history of Atlantis, that Aquaman doesn't really know anything about. So I think if Ocean Master winds up surviving this movie, even though there is no intention to do Aquaman 3, the idea is that going forward, that Ocean Master would start to serve Aquaman as sort of his new version of Vulko, like serve the role that Vulko used to serve. So I think part of the idea is that DC next year has some of the spin-off TV shows coming to HBO, like the Batman HBO show with the Penguin. James Gunn teased more information about the Green Lantern HBO show they're working on right now. Generally, though, the Batman HBO series is like the big thing that's coming from DC next year, and not a whole lot of movie stuff. Like, it's kind of an off year for them because the next big movie is Superman Legacy, which is the official beginning of James Gunn's era of the DCU. It is no coincidence that Marvel is now kind of taking the same tactic where they're pulling way back, like they delayed a bunch of their movies, all except for Deadpool 3 next year, until 2025. Marvel on their side of things will have a couple TV series coming to Disney Plus during 2024, but like DC, they're kind of taking a year off, so to speak, just to ramp up the quality, like take extra time, extra care to make their 2025 movies that much better. Which I think is actually going to pay off for both Marvel and DC, like on both sides of the aisle here. Generally, a lot of the issues that came up with the movies that came out the last couple of years, people complaining about fatigue, about quality control, about too much coming out too soon, too fast. That was all a result of like the pandemic era of filmmaking where they were just trying to get stuff out the door as fast as possible. Now that isn't really an issue to them, so they're pulling way back. So if 2024 feels kind of like a rest year for comic book superhero movies, that's why. There's still a couple coming out and we have the TV series, but generally it will feel like kind of an off year for comic book movies. But overall, whatever winds up happening with the Aquaman movie, like good or bad, I am excited to see Jason Momoa come back as a version of Lobo. It does feel like he could knock that out of the park. He was born to play a character like Lobo. If there's any Easter eggs that you spotted in the footage that I didn't talk about in the video or in my previous Aquaman videos, just write them below in the comments. Or if you have any questions about what's going on just in general with all the DC movies. I just did a Superman Legacy preview video. Click here to learn about that. And here's my Loki Season 3 teaser video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.